Welcome back to session 2 of the resilience program to build a full resilience toolkit with the Change Agent Network and with me, Jonathan Schauder, registered psychologist and 25-year veteran in leadership and management. In this second video, we look at resilience as a function of connecting with others, making sure that alignment is present between us and other people so that we can manage relationships and manage change. The third video will go on to problem solving and strategy, and the fourth will bring it all together in terms of life and time planning and management. This video continues to share ideas out of my fifth book, Stress Intelligence, which hopefully your organisation has provided to you, or you can purchase at www.thechangestore.com. I'm genuinely excited to be sharing these ideas with you that come from such visionary and critical thinkers as Viktor Frankl and Stephen Covey. You can see the quotes on the right. Viktor Frankl, a concentration camp survivor, looked at resilience as an empowered idea. Between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Stephen Covey took that idea and built it into his 7 habits of highly effective people, giving it the very catchy idea of responsibility, the ability to choose our response in any circumstance or condition. It probably wouldn't surprise many of you that the most common form of stress or distress that I encounter as a psychologist, certainly in the corporate setting, is stress and distress and resilience required in relationships and change. Relationships and change meaning that other people's behaviour or the decisions made by others have led to us needing to change our own ways or changing our own direction, and that uncertainty leading to very difficult times of decision making and self-management. Let's start with the first idea, which is called choosing your assumptions. The notion of cognitive behavioural therapy rests on the idea that your assumptions shape your thinking shapes your conclusions shapes your behaviour, and your behaviour shapes your outcomes. Those outcomes in turn shape the evidence that you'll look for to reinforce your assumptions. The word assumptions itself is a critical word in the resilience literature. This brings us to the idea of heuristics. Heuristics are the human capacity to bring biases or exaggerations to different kinds of situations. In this slide, we're going to call the heuristics positive or negative assumptions. That simplification makes life easier to manage because you're literally making positive or negative assumptions every moment of your day. You find yourself in an ambiguous situation with another human being. The positive assumption says they were out to help you, or at least they were trying. The negative assumption says they were out to hurt you or deliberately have a go at you personally. The neutral assumption, where you're just saying, well, I don't know what they meant, is a form of positive assumption. And let's look at the impact that has as we look at our cognitive behavioural model here on the slide. If you make a positive assumption, then your thinking is to engage with the other person, your behaviour will be to go and speak to them, and you'll have a close conversation that hopefully strengthens your relationship by clarifying the reality of the situation. If, however, you make a negative assumption that they're out to hurt you, well, you can see the impact of that in the cognitive behavioural model. Your assumption is they were out to hurt you, your thinking must be defensive, your behaviour will be called what we call fight or flight, and the outcome will be that you put distance between you and them. The negative assumption is important because, of course, the negative assumption protects us when we're trying to engage with people that really are out to hurt us. So at some point, yes, the negative assumption might be required. However, this is the moment that Viktor Frankl and Stephen Covey and many other theorists are giving us in terms of managing this resilient moment. This moment between the stimulus of someone saying or doing something to us and our response is the moment where we get to make a positive assumption. A positive assumption meaning that we are interpreting their behaviour as either trying to help us or trying to find other meaning other than these people are just out to hurt me. So the positive assumption doesn't solve anything, and nor is it that easy to make a positive assumption. Often it's a discipline, but what it leads to is the ability to go and have a conversation with the person where we verify what the assumptions should be. That's where we're travelling next, to the conversation of intention matching impact. With the positive assumption in mind, we can now go and talk to the other person at least, thinking that they're out to help us. And in that conversation, we can verify the assumptions to make. This is called intention matching impact. The other person has said or done something to us. We need to understand their intention and we need to share the impact that that particular behavior has had on us. This is often called classic assertiveness. To just use an example, someone may have given you clumsy feedback. Intention and impact gives us the language to go and speak to them in order to say, I'm sure your intention with the feedback was good, but the impact on me was difficult emotionally, and I need to understand what you were trying to say. The resilience competency that we relate to intention and impact is the ability to disentangle intention from impact. Don't assume they mean it. Most of the world is lived in a situation where people have good intent, but terrible impact. And but for our capacity to go and speak to them, to verify the positive assumptions to be made, often we can get ourselves stuck in a situation of negative assumption cycles and therefore relationship damage. As we progress forward, the power of vision comes into play. You see the image of Martin Luther King there because, of course, those of us who follow the ideas of leadership and resilience follow Martin Luther King very closely. The man was a genius in making his vision simple and understandable for everyone. What does vision mean? It means finding meaning in moments of distress and sharing those meanings with others. And you'll find that what that involves as a skill set is where you bring the positive assumption into your own mind or into the mind of your group. The positive assumption into the dialogue is what we call a resilient leadership moment. It allows for the pivoting of an individual or a group to come out of a distressing and uncertain situation and towards something meaningful and genuine. Which allows us to bring a full circle back to the 5 Ps that we used in video 1. Now, the 5 Ps in video 1 were simply an opportunity for you to break down a problem or a situation that you were finding for yourself and bring clarity to that situation. In this video, we want to use the 5 Ps as a communication tool to bring alignment to your stakeholders, to yourself, to your team, to all of those affected by the situation. The upshot of all of this theory is that we can now manage our resilience upwards when we're managing our manager, where I can ask, what was the purpose? What's the product? What's the process? What's your intention? This was the impact. Should I make a positive assumption? Should I make a negative assumption? I can now manage my staff. If I'm delegating a task, this is the purpose of the task. This is the product of the task. I hope the impact is clear. I can manage my stakeholders. I can manage my partners. We can find alignment with everyone in our world. That's the purpose of this particular video, and I hope it's the big message that's come through. Here's the tip for this exercise. What you're really writing here is a script of how you would have a difficult conversation of meaning with another person. So to just run through it quickly, you would say, hi Joe, thanks for meeting with me. The purpose of the task is as follows. The product we're trying to achieve is as simple as this. The process we're going to go through is 3 or 4 steps. You're going to make decisions, I'm going to make decisions. In terms of people, you're involved, I'm involved, and we might consult with this third party or that third party. And in terms of preparation, here's what we learned from the last time we did this task, and here's a template to work with. If you're doing this particular 4 video series with your workplace, you should be able to now go to your toolkit and see that what we've covered in video 2 is 3 critical tools. Positive assumptions as the resilience moment, intention and impact as the ability to have a difficult conversation in a structured way, and the 5 Ps as a way of scripting that conversation to ensure meaning, to ensure connection, and to ensure activity, making everyone empowered and resilient as we move forward and protecting relationships. Where you have grey space remaining, let the vision shine. Bring the positive assumption, work out what might be done to overcome the problem, and move forward on your risks and opportunities. I'm Jonathan Schauder. Thank you very much for participating in session 2. Look forward to catching you in session 3, where we start focusing on planning, problem solving, and strategy.